Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 355. I'm very excited to share this one with you. We play the highest stake session that I played all year, 100-200 in Bobby's room, and I play some massive pots. It's gonna be awesome, but before we get started, I've got an announcement to make, and it's a little bit on the serious side. Usually I try to keep things light to kind of give you guys a break from your normal stresses, but for a long time now, probably since John Candy passed away, US relations with Canada have been a little bit tumultuous. It's only gotten worse with tariffs and, booing of national anthems and different things like that. But I'm here to help bridge that divide. So, starting now, Canada is allowed on ClubWPT Gold. Be sure to sign up using my name, Brad, so that you get extra perks. You can win satellites to get yourself a 10K seat to the WPT World Championship this December. PLO is on there now. It's got all kinds of stuff. It's still allowed in 44 states. The player pool will be merged. You're probably wondering, I'm a Blue Jays fan. Can I still play on there? The answer is yes. I used to be on the Blue Jays and I play on there all the time. Even if you're a Leafs fan, it's totally fine. You can play on there as well. Why it's not the Toronto Maple Leafs, no one knows. You're a Calgary Flames fan, no problem. You can play on there as well. If you're out there saying, go Habs, that's totally fine too, as long as you don't live in Quebec, because that's actually the only province where gold is not allowed, unfortunately. I have more information in the description box below, but hopefully I'll see you on there, and be sure to use my name, Brad. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're about to play the biggest game running in Las Vegas. I buy in for $40,000 to start. I take $5K out of this bundle before I get the chips. We got the late invite to join 100-200 with a 200 big blind ante in Bobby's room. This is the highest stakes game that I played all year. I'm nervous because I've been running unbelievably cold the last 2 sessions. If I don't run well today, it could cost me 6 figures. I take my seat at 5:14 p.m. There are some notable players, several who have over 100,000 in front of them. I'm not sure 200 big blinds will be enough. Only a few minutes in, I add on for 30,000 more. We're playing deep and we're playing fearless today. I'm in for 70,000 total and I'm swinging for the fences. A half hour in, we're dealt Queen 6 suited in the big blind. Matt Berkey raises to 500 from the hijack. The button calls. He's one of 2 players at the table who I don't recognize. I call for 300 more to close the action. We're going 3 ways to the flop, out of position. It comes Queen 7 rainbow. We've got trips with multiple opponents, including a very aggressive one. I check. Berkey can't resist the urge to continue firing. He bets 700. The button doesn't connect well. He folds. We can either call and lay the trap, or we can play straightforward to start raising right away. Berkey and I have quite a bit of history. I played tricky against him in the past. I mix it up and check raise immediately, this time to 2,000. Matt likely doesn't think that I'd check raise trips right away. He's also going to rep trip queens or a full house with the re-raise to 4,800. Now I'm somewhat concerned that we might be getting coolered, but there's really no hand that he should be re-raising with in this spot. He should be waiting until the turn to make a move and potentially induce more bluffs if he has a hand like ace queen or pocket sevens. So off the bat, this re-raise is suspect. We're either crushed or we have the opponent drawing slim, and we don't want to scare him away, even though continuing will look incredibly strong no matter what. I call for 2,800 more in a large pot. The turn is the 5 of spades, giving us a flush draw to go along with our trips. It's getting better and better. I check. Matt knows that we're going to have at least 3 queens very often once we call his flop re-raise. He essentially waves the white flag and he checks back. We almost certainly have the best hand. The river is another 7, giving us the fullest house you've ever seen. The problem is that Matt already gave up. I don't see how he would have 3-bet with a 7 on the flop, and he almost definitely doesn't have the last queen after he checks back the turn. We're looking to target hands like pocket pairs or ace-10 suited that had backdoor draws on the flop. In order to get called by those weak, non-full house combos, we're going to have to go with a small sizing. I bet 1,800. Perhaps Berkey will think that we're blocking with a small boat, and maybe he'll raise big as a bluff to take himself to Value Town. After giving it some thought, the opponent calls. We turn over the winner. It's not a chop. We never see what the hijack has. He returns his cards face down. I have no idea what we got re-raised by on the flop, but it must have been some sort of bluff.
We play our hand deceivingly face up by just raising from the start, which ends up inducing a third bet. We must have gotten called light on the river as well. We're up 5,000. It's great to get off to a hot start. 20 minutes later, we're dealt 7 deuce offsuit in the cutoff. The 7 deuce game is on. If we win with this hand, each player at the table has to give us $300 each. It's important to note that when we play 100-100, we get $300 from each player as well. That's 3 times the big blind amount, so it's way more important to play aggressively when the bonus money is that high in relation to the big blind. Today, we're playing 100-200, so a $300 bonus from each player is only 1.5 times the big blind, making it not nearly as appealing to play aggressively. Under the gun raises to 500, the player in middle position calls. I call to see if we can get a good flop for our range and take a stab at it. 3 of us are still in, we'll be last to act. The flop comes Queen 9 deuce with 2 clubs. We can have some sets and some top pair combos. As is, we at least have bottom pair and a backdoor flush draw. Under the gun checks, the middle position player emulates Jack the Ripper and takes a stab for 1,000. He probably won't have better than 1 pair very often when we have removal to one of the set combos. He may just have a draw of some sort. I raised to 3,000 in an attempt to take the pot down on this street. We get under the gun to fold. That's an accomplishment. The middle position player calls for 2,000 more. He could have top pair or a club draw, maybe even a straight draw with backdoor hearts. The turn is the ace of hearts. The player in middle position may not like seeing a new high card come out. He checks. We're keeping our foot on the gas to fold out hands like king queen, queen jack, and queen 10 combos that have been downgraded to second pair. I bet 4,500. If this doesn't work and we don't improve, I might have to abort on the river. I've already risked more than I really wanted to trying to win 2,100 in bonus money. We don't get our wish, the opponent calls. He could have top pair with a flush draw, or maybe he has something like jack 10 of hearts. I hope that's not his actual hand because the river is the king of diamonds completing the Broadway draw, although the 2 flush draws miss. Our opponent has 21,000 in his stack. He slides forward and all in. We don't beat a whole lot. The middle position player could even be beating us with some bluff combos. I fold, showing that we try to get cute, but like Amanda Bynes, we won't be trying that going forward. With the 7 deuce bonus money being so insignificant at these stakes, I could have just folded pre-flop. At least, I'm able to show that we're capable of making moves to get some pre-marketing. That only costs us $8,000. I'm stuck, and I feel stupid. Next, we're dealt Queen Jack offsuit in the small blind. Berkey's in the hijack. He raises to 500. We're going to go to battle again. I call for 400 more. We're heads up, out of position. The flop comes 8-5-4 rainbow. We have one of the worst hands that we'll ever have, but it's a flop that's decent for our pre-flop calling range, so we can work in some leads with our exact combo, given that we'll have a high concentration of straights, sets, and top pair holdings. The majority of the time, we'll still give the opponent an opportunity to make a wager. I check. Berkey knows that we'll often connect well with this board. He checks back. He probably has 2 high cards like ace-king that may not be paired, but have showdown value since they beat hands like queen jack, for instance. The turn is the 8 of spades, pairing the board and putting a flush draw out there. There's almost no way that we can win if this gets to showdown and we don't improve, so we need to start playing into our range advantage. I make a small bet at 300 as a bluff. Berkey's already seen us bet small with a full house earlier. If he's weak, he should be thinking that it's at least plausible that he's drawing slim or dead. We might be able to get some folds out of better high card combos without risking much. The price is just too good. The hijack calls. The river is the 10 of spades completing the backdoor flush draw. The queen of spades is a key card in our hand, which makes it less likely that our opponent has a flush and gives our story more credibility if we want to rep spades. I'm going for it. I announce almost a pot-sized bet of 1,600. The chips don't need to hit the felt. The hijack folds quickly. We get the double barrel bluff through to get some money back. It's not a huge amount of chips coming our way, but it's a fun pot to win in order to right the ship. Here we pick up ace-king offsuit in the hijack. Under the gun +1 raises to 600. This is the opponent we tried to unsuccessfully bluff earlier with 7 deuce. It's time to retrieve some of the Bradley dollars that have been nestled in his stack. I 3-bet to 2,000. It's not enough to get a fold. The opponent calls for 1,400 more. We're heads up, in position. The flop comes queen 9-9 rainbow. We don't have any piece of it. Under the gun +1 checks. I check back since we have a sliver of showdown value and we can still improve. The turn is the 3 of diamonds. It doesn't change anything. The opponent checks once more. Our ace-king could be good, but I check back. The river is the ace of spades, giving us top pair. Under the gun +1 checks again. He knows it's a card that's likely to hit our range, and he's correct. I bet 3,000. The opponent hates to see it. He folds immediately. We were stuck over 7,000. Now we're only down about 3,000. It's pretty much even for this game since it's only 15 big blinds. The player in the 1 seed is from Rio Grande, Texas. He's getting a kick out of the fact that we're vlogging this session. He went through a lot of effort to get blinged out for today. He'd like for his precious to be appreciated.
Look at show that ring.
I respect the vengeance.
Very nice.
It's time for a bomb pot. We've got ace queen offsuit on the button. All 8 players put in 500 each, and we go straight to a flop. The dealer puts out ace 10 deuce rainbow. We've got top pair and a great kicker, but with 7 opponents who are uncapped by definition, it's impossible to know if we're best or if we're drawing dead to run a runner. Berkey's under the gun +1. He gets things started with a bet of 500. There's a tiny sizing, he probably doesn't have much, and he's trying to clear out equity while giving himself a chance to see a cheap turn. Our opponent with a nice ring sniffs out Berkey's futile attempt to advance to the next round without wagering too much. He raises to 1,500 from middle position. We have removal to top set and 2-pair combos. As long as we're only up against 1 pair, we probably have the winner. I'm not putting too much stock in the middle position player's raise since the first bet was so small. It wouldn't surprise me if the raiser is trying to clear out more opponents with a worse ace than us. I don't want to call and give Berkey a chance to call or re-raise behind us. I re-raised to 4,000, which gives us an opportunity to win right now since we're not likely to improve. It also should get Berkey to fold out all 1-pair hands, but there's only a slim chance of us correctly assessing the situation. I can see that Berkey wishes that he could stick around, but he's just not comfortable continuing, and I don't blame him. We've sort of over-repped our hand. I'm certainly at the bottom of my 3-bet range. Berkey folds. The action's back on the middle position player. I wouldn't mind a call, but I don't want to see the opponent put in another raise. The middle position player calls. He has to be concerned that we can have a set or 2-pair already. It's down to heads up with over 12,500 in the middle. The turn is the 3 of hearts, completing the wheel draw, but it's mostly a blank. The opponent checks. We can't give the opponent an opportunity to see a free river, particularly if he has something like ace-x of hearts. I bet 6,000 with intentions of checking back nearly every river card. Our re-raise, followed by a second barrel, puts us in dangerous territory. I feel like Frodo on his quest to Mordor. The opponent has a decision that he's on the fence about.
Very close. This goes. Too much close.
Should you get there, Matt?
No, I made 2 pair.
Can I see the turn?
You can see it on the vlog.
I assumed 10-3 wasn't good. Oh shit, I did get there.
It had ace 9.
Ace 9, get fold.
10-3.
Really?
Our flop re-raise works out to perfection. We read the situation well to get additional value and clear out hands that would have improved to take the lead against us on the turn. We're back to winning several thousand on the session, with plans of eventually sailing west to the Undying Lands, where the elves are, of course. In this one, we pick up lucky 7s under the gun +1. I raised to 500. Berkey can't help but try to get as much screen time as possible. He calls on the button. Small blind calls, the big blind calls to close the action. We're going 4 ways to the flop. It comes ace 7-4 rainbow. We've got middle set and very little to worry about. Small blind and big blind check. There won't be many bad turns for us. I check to give the in position player a chance to bluff while we disguise our hand strength. Maybe we should have bet because it's an ace-high flop and Berkey's too sharp to make a move when we have so many opponents. He checks back. The turn is the 3 of hearts, completing a couple of straights, most notably 6-5. Small blind leads for nearly a pot-sized bet of 2,000. This is the opponent that we tussled with when we re-raised him with ace-queen in the bomb pot. The big blind folds. We've got about the best hand that we'll ever have. Our sneaky check on the flop should allow us to get paid easier if we put in a raise because it may not compute for our opponent that we'll have a set. I raised to 6,000. Berkey folds quickly. He's who I thought was most likely to have a straight. Small blind might have top pair. Maybe he has some sort of combo draw that he wants to get to the river with. He calls for 4,000 more. This is a $14,000 pot, and we've got a monster. The river's the 8 of clubs. No new straights get there, and hearts brick. There's no reason to believe that the opponent is going to have pocket 8s, and since we didn't get re-raised on the previous street, we can rule out the small blind having a straight. We have the effective nuts. Small blind checks. We're going to go for value to target top pair or 2-pair combos that don't believe that we've got the goods. I announce a bet of 9,000 as I put out 2 flag chips. The small blind probably has a missed flush draw. He takes one brief look at his cards before he folds. Our check on the flop might have earned us several thousand more than if we c-bet. We get a nice win after a huge flop. We're sitting on a stack of 81,500. We're up 11,500 on the session, and it's about to get better. With the camera rolling and a good high stakes game, we look down at pocket aces in the cutoff. Under the gun +1 limps in for 200. There's no better feeling in poker than picking up rockets while in Bobby's room. But maybe a close second is if we've got pocket aces at the final table of a tournament on gold, like I did recently, with 2 players going all in before I had a chance to act. If you want to play from home on your phone or at your computer, be sure to join using my name Brad so that you're eligible for giveaways and free rolls that I've been putting on. You'll also receive extra chips, which are redeemable for cash at 1-to-1 with the US dollar when you make your first purchase. It's available in 44 states. It's now available in Canada as well. PLO is running too. I have more information in the description box below for those who are interested. Our situation at the live table gets even better as the hijack raises to 1,000. I commend it. The limper needed to be punished, but now the punisher of the limper also needs to be punished. I 3-bet to 3,000 with a real hand. No one has anything that they can fight back with. Under the gun +1 and the hijack both fold. I was completely card dead during my last session at Hustler. Today, the good cards are coming in and the opponents are taking note.
Seems like you're winning and winning and winning. You're winning.
Yep. We don't have any plans to stop either. We're dealt 7 deuce offsuit the very next hand. We go from having the best starting combo to the absolute worst one. That doesn't mean that we won't be playing it though. I raised to 500. I don't particularly like the fact that it's just been pointed out that we've been taking down pots at a high frequency right before we're sort of forced to try and get a bluff through. But the roll we're on is too strong for something minor like that to slow us down. Our opponents all fold. I redeem our cards for $300 from each of the 6 opponents that we currently have at the table. It's nice to win it uncontested, then see a bunch of black chips fly our direction. We had the hiccup with 7 deuce earlier. We quickly recovered though. Currently, we're up 15,000 on the night. We've got 85,000 in front of us. I'm back almost everything that I lost during the Hustler live stream, but we're playing nosebleed stakes. Anything can happen to cause us to lose a lot of it back, or maybe everything that we bought in for. And this better not be foreshadowing. Next, we pick up pocket 4s on the button. Under the gun raises to 500. Matt calls some under the gun +1. The hijack across from us calls. We've gotten into some big pots with him already. I call to set mine. We're going 4 ways to the flop. The dealer puts out 9-4 deuce rainbow. We drill middle set one more time. We're absolutely smashing the deck. Under the gun checks. Berkey is glad to see the pre-flop aggressor play passively. He bets 1,000 to maybe win without anyone resisting. We know that's not going to happen. The hijack folds. I don't want to tip Matt off that we have a decision between calling and raising, so I call quickly, which most players tend to do when they're somewhat weak. Under the gun can't continue. He folds. It's down to heads up. The turn is the queen of diamonds, which adds a few draws to the board. Matt knows there's still a chance that I could have flatted his flop bet with a monster. He checks to see how we'll proceed. Ordinarily, I'd bet for value and protection, but it's likely that Matt has a second pair or worse hand and will only be able to get value on one street at most unless he improves a 2-pair or trips. I put in the sneakiest check back in my life to induce a potential bluff from someone that I know to be aggressive, or maybe he'll consider calling a river bet lighter if he decides to check. It should look like we've got 9-8, 10-9, or an ace-9 type of hand that doesn't appreciate being downgraded to second pair with a queen making an appearance. The river is the jack of spades, 10-8, and king-10 improved to a straight, but there's no reason to believe that Berkey has either of those holdings, except he bets 2,000. The whole reason that we checked back turn was to induce a bluff and disguise our hand strength. It's time for us to attack. I put in a large raise to 8,000, which should make almost no sense to any good, thinking player, which Matt certainly is. It's very tough for me to have a straight. I would have had to have called a flop bet with only backdoor draws. It's definitely possible, but I also likely would have bet turn once it checked to me if I'd picked up a gutter. Ideally, Matt will have 2 pair, but now that he's been taking some time to contemplate his options, it's becoming less likely that's the case, and it's not looking like he has a straight. It seems like he's considering calling us with only a bluff catcher. He saw us raise as a bluff earlier with 7 deuce, then we continued firing a second barrel with it before we had to give up, but he knows that we've got it in us to make some moves. That 7 deuce hand that I played has to be creeping into the back of his mind as he thinks about what to do here. When Matt starts talking like that, he definitely isn't going to be putting in a raise. Multiple bracelet winner Freddie Deeb has popped in to see all the action. I'm enjoying the current situation as I'm looking at the famous mural on the wall in front of us depicting Doyle in a cowboy hat raking in a pot. I've tried to bluff Matt in some similar spots in the past. He seems to regularly make the right decision when he goes into the tank. This time, I may have buried our hand strength too deep for him to pick up the right scent.
Just stinks of deuce 7, man. Just stinks of it.
Matt almost puts in calling chips, then he takes them back. I nearly turned over our set prematurely, but fortunately the opponent doesn't see us do it. After a full minute in the tank, the opponent makes the call. We turn over our set for realsies that I'm sure everyone at the table is surprised to see given the action. Our check back on 4th Street makes us $8,000. We recover all the expensive free marketing money that we lost previously. Matt later says that he called us light after rivering a pair of jacks, which gave him second pair. Maybe he had Jack 10 or King Jack with removal to the straight. We win a $20,000 pot. It's the largest one of the night for us. We have $94,000 in our stack. This is the most money that I've ever had in front of me in Bobby's room or any time that I've had 100% of my own action. It's cool, but we need to get it to $100,000. We go the other way for an hour and a half before picking up Ace King offsuit in the hijack. We've got a premium that we're going to be playing. I raised to $500. Landon Tice has recently entered the game. He's a total stud who's already accomplished a lot in the tournament streets. I'm sure he's not too shabby in cash games either. Landon 3-bets at $2,200 from the small blind. Landon has $20,000 total. We've got a few options on the table that are all reasonable. We could flat, 4-bet jam, or 4-bet to a smaller amount. Flatting's the preferred option, while we'll 4-bet about a third of the time. This is one of those times. I 4-bet to $7,000. It's a large sizing. I wouldn't be opposed to getting it in for 100 big blinds and running out of board. Landon was making a move though. He folds. Berkey, who has a much larger stack and actually has us covered, is curious as to how we might have played our holding against him.
Yeah, I got in there.
4-bet me too, or just a...
Wait, just for you,
just call you. I Ace King.
Less than 10 minutes later, we're dealt Ace King suited in the hijack. Under the gun raises to $500. He doubled up through Berkey in a gigantic $135,000 pot shortly after I first sat down, but he's run cold since then. A player in middle position calls. We're going to try to get this down to heads up. I 3-bet to $3,000. Under the gun may not be at the top of his range. He doesn't want to part ways with his hand at this stage though.
I'm going to give you action. Give you action. I know you're a tough player, but let's see what happens.
It's down to heads up with $7,000 up for grabs in the middle. We likely have the best hand for now. It seems like we're up against something speculative. The flop comes 3 deuce deuce. We don't improve, but it's unlikely that the opponent wanted to see a couple ducks with a tray. He checks. There won't be many deuces in his range. Even if under the gun has a pocket pair, we'll have 6 outs twice. I bet $3,000 again to charge hands that have a decent amount of equity. It's not a bad thing even to fold out a hand like 8-7 suited when he'd have 6 outs twice. The opponent folds. We win enough money to buy a used Ford Escape. I'm not going anywhere though, at least until we get our stack over 100,000. We look down at 7 deuce offsuit on the button. Under the gun raises to $500. It's Landon Tice. We've got to give ourselves a shot to get the bonus money. I call to see if a door opens up for us to make a hand or steal the pot. We're heads up in position. The flop comes ace 4-4 rainbow. We've got nothing, and ace high flops are good for the early position raiser's range. He checks. We're just going to give up on this one from the start. We could already be drawing dead. Landon might be checking with plenty of top pair combos, so I'm not going to make a steal attempt. I check back. The turn is the 3 of diamonds, putting a flush draw out there and giving us a gutter to the wheel. Landon checks once again. My sense is that he's checking for pot control or to induce a bluff. I'm not falling for it, even with the extra incentive to do so. I check back. The river's the 5 of clubs. We drilled the wheel. Landon doesn't suspect that we've connected at all after he's seen us check back multiple times. He bets $500. I doubt that he has a deuce or 7-6 for a straight, or 6-7, I should say, probably for the young kids, particularly because we have removal to those hands. The question is whether or not we can raise and get called by worse. There's a small chance that the opponent has a boat of some sort. I'm not especially interested in reopening the pot, but our hand is too strong to only flat a small size river bet. I raised to $1,500. We might be able to get called by an ace-king or ace-queen type of hand that was playing cautiously on the early streets. The opponent calls for 1,000 more. He's not going to like what he's about to see, and no one else at the table will be excited about it either.
Straight?
Are you sure?
No. 7 deuce.
No!
No, boo. Was Berkey here?
Yeah, he was.
What do you mean straight?
I don't remember.
70,
Wow, it is a straight.
Landon shows a 7 and later tells us that his other card was an ace. We get a great run out to win the pot, get some extra value on the river, then get some extra value from 6 opponents who had to pay us $300 each. Our stack is dangerously close to 100,000. We're at 99,000. We're winning 29,000 on the session. With the stand-up game going, we're dealt ace-5 offsuit in the small blind. I'm one of 3 players who needs to win a hand. Otherwise, I'll have to pay each of our opponents $500. The cutoff raises to 500. The button calls. He needs to win a hand as well. I'd normally fold ace-5 offsuit in the small blind, but with the stand-up game on, I stretch out my range and call to avoid having to pay out an extra 3,000. The big blind calls to close the action. He's the 3rd player that needs to win a hand. 4 of us are seeing a flop. It comes ace-8-5 rainbow. We've hit top and bottom pair. It's a little vulnerable though, especially with so many opponents. Everyone checks, which is a good sign. The turn is the deuce of spades. It's a beautiful blank aside from an unlikely 4-3 getting there. We have a strong hand with extra incentive to bluff, while 2/3 of our opponents have extra incentive to call. So I make a large bet of 2,000 to punish anyone trying to play stand-up game defense while we deny equity. The big blind folds. The cutoff is the opponent that I'd like to get called by the most. He can't hang around though. He folds. The button has to decide whether or not he wants to make a move. If he doesn't, he'll be heads up in the stand-up game with the opponent on our left. The button folds. We have to show our 2 pair to be off the hook for the stand-up game tax. Everyone sees that we actually had it. We're raking in pot after pot, avoiding big mistakes, and increasing our stack in a game that has several top players. But unlike Chauncey Billups when he sees Matt Berkey, we're not sweating. Our stack is still just under 100,000 when we pick up pocket 3s in the big blind. Pocket pairs have been good to us so far today. Under the gun raises to 500. The button didn't come to Bobby's room to fold. He calls. We're closing the action and getting a discount. I call for 300 more. We're going 3 ways to the flop. The dealer puts out ace-8-3 with 2 hearts. We flop our 3rd set of the day, and it's even better that it's an ace-high flop. I checked the pre-flop aggressor. He's not putting chips in like I want him to. He checks. The button checks back. The turn is the king of clubs. It's another great card for the early position raisers range. We won't have top 2 pair sets very often on this board because we'll almost never have pocket aces, kings, or ace king. For that reason, I check again to the pre-flop raiser, who should know that this board will generally be best for him, and he may bet whether he has anything or not. Under the gun fires for 900. He could be doing this as a semi-bluff with only a gutter to Broadway, or maybe just air. The button doesn't have a big enough hand to continue playing. He folds. I want to keep the opponent's bluffs in, so we're going to hold off on putting in the check raise. I call as a trap. It should look like we've got a draw or 1 pair at best, but really, we're waiting to make our move with a massive holding. The river's the 4 of spades. Every significant draw misses. It's a terrific card. I check, expecting to see a large wager utilized by our opponent. Under the gun bets 2,700. It's 75% of the pot. He's repping hands like aces, kings, ace-king, or maybe even a worse hand like ace-queen or ace-jack that he's comfortable going to value with. There's absolutely no reason that under the gun should suspect that he's going to get raised on this run out given the action. I hope you like surprises. I check raise to 9,000. If under the gun only has something like queen jack or queen 10, I wouldn't be shocked to see him rip it as a bluff, since our hand makes almost no sense when we check it 3 times and put a raise in at the end, when the only hand that improves enough to do that is 5 deuce suited for an unlikely straight. Under the gun is taking his time to think about all the different ways that he can proceed. There's a possibility that we've gotten set over set. If we did, we're about to lose a lot of money, and maybe it'd be nice to have that fort escape after all, to escape somewhere far away from here. Under the gun has taken 1.5 minutes to make his decision. He finally folds. We show the set. He's going to see it on the vlog anyway. Our check raise doesn't get called, but we still win another significant pot. With this one headed towards us, we cross over the 100,000 mark for the first time ever in Bobby's room. I accomplished the goal I didn't know I had before the start of the day. I'm glad that I took a shot in this game. We're up over 34,000. There's still big hands coming as well. Nearly an hour later, we're dealt queen 10 offsuit in the big blind. The hijack raises to 500. Landon calls in the cutoff. Berkey calls on the button. We're getting a good price and closing the action with what's historically referred to as a trouble hand. I call for 300 more. 4 of us are seeing a flop. It comes ace, king, jack, rainbow. We flop the nuts with Broadway on a board that generally won't be very good for us. I check to the pre-flop raiser. This is a board that'll be best for his range since he'll have the highest concentration of straights, sets, and 2-pair combos. He bets 900. The cutoff somewhat surprisingly calls. He's not going to have aces, kings, or ace-king, but as the first caller with 3 opponents still in, he has to be cautious and have something decent like 2-pair or a pair with a gutter and a backdoor flush draw. The button folds. We can't check raise on this flop when it's so bad for our entire big blind calling range with 3 Broadway cards out there. Yes, in this instance we have the nuts, but we'll never have top 2 pair, and we'll never have aces or kings, so I call to protect our range in instances when we only have 1 pair and don't want to get blown off of our hand. If the turn's a blank, we can go for a check raise at that point. The dealer puts out the king of clubs, which is a terrible card that totally downgrades us. We could be drawing dead. I check. The hijack might be slow playing, or maybe he could genuinely be concerned that he's going to lose the pot. He checks. I expect Landon to check because, again, he's not going to have ace-king, aces, or kings. He doesn't check, though. He bets 2,000. He might also have queen-10, or maybe he could have one of the 3 remaining combos of pocket jacks, or the last remaining combo of king-jack suited. It's also possible that he just has king-queen suited, or king-10 suited, and is betting trips for value. Raising is no longer an option for us. I call with plans of holding on for dear life until the end. The hijack folds. It's down to heads up. The river's the deuce of spades. It couldn't be more blank. I check. I don't necessarily want to see a big bet, but Landon bets 6,000 anyway. Our straight is severely under-repped. There's at least some chance that Landon's taken himself to Value Town with trips, or we're chopping, but it really feels like we're up against exactly king-jack of hearts. When we take a passive line, we absolutely can't fold. I call, expecting to get some bad news, and we get it.
Yeah, it was the only hand I lose to.
Landon wins back all the money that he lost to me earlier, and then a few thousand. He has king-jack offsuit, which he's supposed to mix pretty evenly between folding, calling, and 3-betting pre-flop. I'm actually supposed to fold queen-10 offsuit the majority of the time, once the button also calls the initial raise. Queen-10 is labeled a trouble hand for a reason. Landon drills the 4-outer, and I lose almost $10,000. The very next hand, we're dealt jiggities in the small blind. The button limps in. We're playing short-handed. This is the opponent across from us. I raised to 1,200, playing into the fact that it might look like we're steaming from our loss right before with a flop straight. The button's falling for it.
Until? Tilting a little bit?
I mean, no one likes losing $9,400 after flopping the nuts, but I wouldn't say this is a tilt raise. I'm okay getting some action with a premium pocket pair. The button calls to 1,200. We're heads up out of position. The flop comes 4-4-3 with 2 spades. We'll pretty much never have trips or a full house, but I've seen the opponent limp call with some trash cards in other situations, so it's not impossible for him to have trips or better. I check to him. We might be able to induce a bluff or a value bet from a hand that we're actually beating. The button bets 2,000. There's a large sizing on a paired board, but we're going nowhere. I check to see if we've got a spade in our hand. If we don't, this makes it more likely that we're up against a flush draw. I reach for chips to make the call. This would be a good time to drill the jack of spades. The turn is the 6 of hearts instead. Not terrible since we still have an overpair, but some straights get there and there's another flush draw on the board. I check. The button checks back immediately. Our jacks are almost certainly the best hand. The river's the ace of spades. This is an awful card because the front door flush gets there, and any hand containing an ace improves to take the lead from us. I check. The button checks back. Maybe our jacks are best. They're not. The button reveals that he limp called our raise pre-flop with ace-3 offsuit. He flopped a pair, then rivered a better pair to beat us. We were smooth sailing to the undying lands up to this point, but the last 2 hands have been a disaster. I've lost about $13,000 in the span of a few minutes. The stack is well below $100,000, and my profit for the night has shrunk to $17,000. It's still nice to be up 5 figures, but it's half of what we were up at the high point. 17 minutes later, we're dealt pocket kings on the button. The strong hands haven't done well for us this past half hour, but I'm not going to go so far as to say no kings, like a lot of other poker players around the country have been chanting. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I'd actually love to have like 3 or even 4 kings. Kings is the second best starting hand in poker, so protesting it seems insane to me, but I'm not someone who judges how others want to spend their time away from the felt. The opponent across from us open limps once more, this time from the cutoff. We're in position and looking to play a big pot heads up. I raise to 1,000 to isolate the limper. I do this with a wide range of hands from this position, and the small blind is a good player who understands the dynamics at play. This would generally be a good time for him to 3-bet light. The small blind seizes the opportunity and re-raises to 3,700 off of a fairly short stack. The cutoff doesn't want to play for 3,500 more. He folds after instigating chaos with his initial limp. I'd like to get our kings in right now before an ace definitely comes out. I put in a relatively small 4-bet to 8,000. Small blind immediately recognizes the pile of dog shit that he just stepped in. He folds without even considering making a call. We win over 4,000 without having to see a flop. We don't climb back over the 6-figure mark, but we're not too far away. It's after midnight and time to rack up. It was a great rebound session after losing at the Hustler. We win back everything that we lost in LA, plus 8,000. In 7 hours of play, I win 23,900 total. There was no foreshadowing after all with regards to getting stacked and losing everything. The day was nearly all positive. We hit some milestones and got to play with a handful of people that I like and respect in the game. We drilled plenty of sets and got dealt all the premiums that we'd been missing in the previous sessions. Our night couldn't have gone much better. When playing 100-200, it was a good time to run good.
That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. It helps out the channel a ton. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to get back to you. Don't forget to join Gold using my name, Brad, whether you live in the US or Canada. There are opportunities to win seats to the World Championship. There's PLO, which is now available as well, and ring games and all kinds of tournaments. I am actually going to Toronto. I'm gonna be playing at a place called Toronto Poker Game or something like that. It's 6 tables, it's open to the public, but that'll be on Tuesday, November 11th. So if you're in the area and able to make it out, I'm gonna be playing 5-10 out there. It's kind of a small club, so I'm not sure there's gonna be a ton of room, but figured I'd mention it in case anybody wants to pop in and at least grab a photo or something like that, if not play in the 5-10 game. All right, guys, hope you're all doing well. Hope you're staying safe. Good luck at the tables, and I'll see you next time.